had to climb the hill to sled down it.
Yeah, and nobody sued back then when somebody got hurt.
It's after 7, we need to get this thing going.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Go
Amen.
Pats.
Really? You desecrate that with go Pats?
Go Pats.
It's amen.
It is not amen. I'm not praying to God. I'm pledging allegiance to the flag.
I swear to God.
Are we a tri-board tonight, a tri-person board?
Jamie should be here momentarily. She had a few issues to deal with at the farm stand. Good evening, folks. Nice to see everyone. Mark Montanari won't be present this evening.
Oh, we won't. Oh.
No. So he was fortunate enough to be able to attend tonight's football game.
Well,
We all have our priorities.
And after 20 some odd years of serving the board, he deserves a good night out.
What about the other 30 nights of the week, of the month that we're not meeting?
you know, this is where you're supposed to, your first duty is to your, to God, your country, your state, your city, and your board.
You left family out of there, but
Well,
it's got to fit in there somewhere.
if you have a family,
Well, he's got a family. He's a good guy. No worries.
so,
My God, my
All right,
family.
so 7 o'clock, Rotary Club gazebo and a little comment. He's not presenting,
You
right?
need the updated agenda, the corrected one.
No.
Sorry about that. So yes, you're correct, he's not presenting
presenting.
tonight.
Board business.
oh jeez, I left my package at home.
Uh,
Is there enough stuff
So
there?
we have the zoning bylaw amendment
We'll get there.
I'll work with.
for fall town meeting, recreational marijuana moratorium.
We have got the letter from town council explaining what the process has been to date, recommending the town look at asking town meeting to vote on a new temporary moratorium for recreation marijuana sales. If the town council is preparing a zoning bylaw amendment that does that. And with your vote, you could request the selectmen to add that to the town meeting warrant. And we could have a public hearing on October 5th with the other zoning bylaw public hearings.
So once that's drafted, we'll review it in October and present it then, or is that too late?
You would have to vote now on adding it to the warrant, because the selectmen meet Monday, their last meeting, to insert articles on the warrant.
Or we don't even have a draft?
You have the draft from the last time. It would extend the date through December 2019, I believe.
So my question would
Yep.
be, is that if we're going to extend it, are they changing the wording in the new draft for the vote?
What they would add is reference the new regulation, the new state regulations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
Please.
if I could, I had Keith Berkman, Town Administrator, I had been in touch with Town Council about the temporary moratorium on recreational marijuana that was passed at the, by town meeting in May, and there's a couple of issues that have come up since then. First, unfortunately, is that the Attorney General was reviewing whether the May vote was actually valid. And because the standard is to have it requires a 2/3 vote at town meeting. And what is under review right now is whether that 2/3 vote should have been counted, as opposed to being a voice vote with a declaration by the moderator that it was a 2/3. You can do the declaration, but there's some procedural steps that can make it valid, and it does not appear that those steps were taken. I forget whether we reached that article at midnight or 12:30 or whenever it was.
Right.
It was a voice vote. It was not a counted vote. And that may be enough to say that that moratorium didn't pass. The Attorney General is looking at that right now. In the intervening months, since the May town meeting, something even more significant happened. And on July 28th, the governor signed the new form, the amended form of the recreational marijuana legislation, that not what was passed by the voters at a ballot, in a petition in last November, statewide ballot, but it's the subsequent legislation that the legislature came up with and that the governor signed, which is now replaced what the voters approved. And that new procedure, that new legislation has all sorts of options that we haven't considered before. For example, if you want to limit the number of dispensaries that you have in your community, you can only do that by a referendum. And our current medicinal marijuana limits the number of RMDs, registered marijuana dispensary facilities, to one.
Mm-hmm.
We've already issued the one. And if you want to do the same thing for recreational or limit the number, you can't do it simply by zoning. By zoning, you have to do it by a referendum ballot question.
Okay.
So there are a whole menu of new things for communities to consider, and no time to do it. So what the Attorney General has come up with is the standard that any community can request and get a moratorium on the recreational marijuana through the new date of December 31, 2018. And so we're recommending, based on the law that was signed in July, that we take advantage of the opportunity for a moratorium through that date. Now, we could still work on a town meeting, work on the zoning amendments. We can work through the issues that town council spells out in his letter with guidance that we recently received. And as we sort through those issues, we can work on what the zoning is, work on the referendum questions that we either do or don't want to have. But we're going to need time to do that. And if the AG in the meantime rules that we don't even have a moratorium in place that was voted in May, we will want to have a moratorium in place now. So that's sort of the urgency of, and we had the opportunity to bring it to the October 30th special town meeting.
Okay.
So what do we need to do in order to
Thank you,
make-
Keith.
achieve that? Through the chair?
Yes.
What do we need to do in order to achieve that?
So we just need to make a motion, I need to get a motion to extend the moratorium that was already voted on last fall, or create a new one and have it placed on the special town meeting agenda.
Right. And have your own hearing, your own 40A hearing on zoning amendment between now and town meeting.
But you were saying it needs to be done by a referendum, right?
No, what I'm saying is that the moratorium itself can be enacted by a vote of town meeting to amend the zoning. It's implementing the new statute for recreational marijuana that has a number of steps that we need to consider. And just to pick out one, if you want to limit the number of facilities, you can't do that by zoning. You have to do it by a referendum.
Okay.
So if you're okay with an unlimited number, forget about the referendum. We can just go directly we can, during the court, when we have the moratorium and we're taking the time to craft a bylaw, we only have to worry about bringing that to town meeting. If as part of that bylaw, you want to limit the number of dispensaries in a community, that needs to go to a ballot question. And so we'll want to take some time to think about that.
Yes, Mr. Scott.
Either way, is this what's been signed in by the governor? Both of those? He said he changed what we.
Yes, the governor, the form of the legislation that was signed by the governor would require, number one, it allows for the moratorium through an extended date that the Attorney General is agreeable to. Secondly, it sets up it sets up a number of things, including having the state cannabis commission that's just been seated, that they have time to develop state regulations. There's no one is going to be issued, in the near term, no entity is going to be issued a recreational marijuana license because the state hasn't figured out how to do that part yet.
All right, so as.
Not only have we not figured out how to put it in our local zoning, but they haven't figured out how to give them a state license that would allow them to do that business.
So once again, we can't offer something that isn't permitted by the state, correct? So if we make this motion to mirror the signature of the moratorium that the governor has approved, then we haven't gone against anything that could
You
come
would-
down our path later. We don't have to do it again.
If you go forward with a temporary zoning moratorium
To
on
mirror
recreational
the
marijuana
governor's
that's
signatures.
consistent with the statute the governor signed, we will be on the same schedule as what the state is going to be.
All right, could I have, I'd like to make a motion following those words. If you'd like to make it into something that will follow that, it seems to,
I've got a motion, can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Thank
So
you.
the vote, okay.
good.
I promised Hartwell A&R that he'd be home in time for the game, so.
If I'm here, you're here. Sorry.
Sounds good.
well, how far down the road is he?
He's a 7:10, he's jumping over the rest of board business.
7:10?
Okay,
It's up to him.
I know, it is.
It's up to you.
Yeah.
if you want to poll the members, I'm okay.
You guys okay
With
with?
what, him leaving now?
So Jamie's gonna recuse herself as she's now in a butter?
I'm in the process of moving
Okay.
next door, yes.
Are you on the deed?
Huh?
Are you on the deed?
No, but it's
To
probably
avoid
best that I-
conflict, so. Yes, I'm okay, obviously, okay with,
With him
Sign
moving
the,
forward?
Sorry about that.
that's okay. I don't mind.
You're up, right?
Mhm.
Through the chair?
Do you guys need a copy of this?
Please.
No, I don't, I've never seen it.
Just one minute. Richard doesn't have his packet.
I have a small one if you would like.
Oh, that's good.
You have one?
Mhm. I don't know.
That wasn't for you to hear. Did you hear
Should we
that?
discuss
No.
that?
You're up.
How you doing? My name's Jason Coit with David A. Ross Associates.
Nice to
I'm
meet you.
here, nice to meet you also. I'm here representing for the estate of Charlotte T. Hartwell. And in front of you, we have a two-lot A&R. Both lots meet the minimum frontage and area. And that's it.
Two.
Where was the ski area? It didn't show.
I don't know where it was.
It was, here's the house right here, is basically right down here. And you come down that way there, this way here.
That's pretty cool.
Parking was over here. If you didn't have your sandwich, Mrs. Hartwell would make you one. It was a great place to grow up. So this top side, which is
Nope.
the hill and everything, is gonna be the.
So we just need to endorse, no vote needed, right?
Yeah, if you take a vote, that helps.
Make a motion to accept, anybody?
Yes, so moved.
No, I can't make the motion.
I make a motion to accept the A&R as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Hey?
Aye.
Excellent. Thank you.
The plan and the pen are there.
Keep
Wouldn't
going.
mind endorsing.
Do we endorse this one too, or is this extra?
That was just my extra copy I brought. Thank you.
So you offer in, out, down.
Mon, did you get the as-built from Macintosh?
What's this one? What, again?
Let's see. Peter, I didn't sign, do you have one over there?
Let me see. That one's already signed.
Oh,
Is there a
sorry.
third one over there?
thought we were signing two. We're signing three?
If you read that would be
Eddie, did you sign this one?
I didn't. I need it.
Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Richard.
Yeah, here's the third one. We'll get the third one. That's signed.
Thank you, Mark.
We're done?
No, we go back to board business. We wrap it up. Bills and payroll.
Coming around for your
While the
signature.
bills and payroll are coming around, I have read the minutes. Have other members had a chance to review the minutes?
I'll defer to you.
Mary, do we have any pens?
Um,
Oh, thank you, Peter. Uh, That's all right. Peter's
Peter's lending my pen to everybody.
lending your pen. Wow, that's tough.
Richard, did you have a chance to review the
I
minutes?
did, yes, and the minutes look fine.
I agree.
Yeah.
So we're in agreement, and if I can get a motion to accept the minutes.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye. Yeah.
Terrific, thank you.
And
Just one.
Just the front.
Terrific.
With that donated land, the Hartwell land, does the selectmen have to vote on that too to accept it?
Town meeting has to vote on it,
Okay.
and the selectmen are,
I have to do that
will
today, so I do.
be voting Monday night to add that to the town meeting warrant.
Okay.
Premise, I'm
That's pretty nice, it's 15 acres, but
Yeah.
yeah, so it's the other side of the hill, everything.
And the Cemetery Commission
Trust me,
voted this
everybody
morning
knows
to
that.
support accepting the donation.
Meeting schedule, we need to discuss the meeting schedule. Mr. Montanari had mentioned that in October, he has a conflict with our next meeting schedule. That being said, what is the date that we're supposed to meet? It's the 5th of October, right?
Right, October 5th, we'll have the public hearing for the zoning bylaws, and we'll have one new application for Workers' Credit Union at the intersection of Russell Street and 119.
Yeah.
The corner and the building next to it. But I am gone the following week,
Right.
so,
And I wouldn't be available on Thursday the following week either.
Okay. So
Although I'd like
What's the
to.
problem with meeting on the 5th for whom?
It's
Just
for
one?
for Mr. Montanari, but I'm not opposed to having the meeting regardless. If I just wanted to put it out to the board, if you guys want to consider moving it, or if you want to still keep it on the 5th, and,
I'm going to be here on the 5th, but I don't think I'm going to be here. I'll be here on the 5th and the 12th, but I won't be here the rest of the month.
right, and
Do we need five?
Maren and I can't be here for the 12th, so.
All right, the 5th.
Can we decide how we're gonna vote now, so we know if we need a 5th?
Well, should we, are there any cases that need a supermajority?
if Mark misses the first public hearing for the Workers' Credit Union, he can
Yeah.
review the information, so,
Good.
Through the,
through the Mullen Rule.
Through the who?
Well, he'll mulligize himself.
not the Mullen rule.
He can mulligize himself.
Okay,
Come
so
up
we're gonna hold the meeting at the same time.
Yeah.
No change necessary. I have also reviewed the subdivision construction inspection reports for Cooper number 4 and 5, 6, Durkey 20 through 22, and 23 through 26. It appears that things on both sites are status quo. A few corrections, but I took a ride through Durkey during the rain a couple days ago, and the pond was dry. So, The retention ponds were full, but they were doing their job, so it was raining out.
And just this evening, we got a new site visit report for Durkee number 27.
Okay.
Came in like at 6 o'clock.
Did you have a chance to read it, Maren?
I looked at the pretty pictures.
Okay.
Sorry, I did not.
That one is not in their packet?
It wasn't in the packet, I just added it.
She just got it at
this
6
evening.
o'clock this evening. I did notice there were some concerns regarding the pavement on the sidewalk being a little thin in a few places, but I'm sure that'll be corrected. I would entertain a motion to accept the construction reports by our consultant.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Terrific. Thank you.
I did not vote on the ones for Cooper. I can't.
Okay. So noted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I keep grabbing the wrong agenda from my packet, so I'll get rid of that thing. 7:20, road acceptance, McIntosh Lane, recommendation for a public hearing.
Hi, P.T. Carroll, Decker Corp.
Welcome.
Here for the endorsement of the road as-built and street acceptance plans for McIntosh Lane.
Yeah, there's quite a formal process for street acceptances. The final vote is town meeting vote. In order to get to town meeting, the Board of Selectmen have to have a public hearing, and this process is for your input to that public hearing. The as-built just came in. Green will be reviewing them. They did go over to DPW. Chris hasn't had a chance to look at them yet, but overall, everybody's been very pleased with the work on the site. And in order to get things, keep things on schedule, if you could vote to accept the as-built pending those reviews, we can revisit, but I don't want to halt the time frame and miss the fall town meeting, since construction has been going so well out there.
Okay. That's reasonable. I can speak for myself, it's part of my running route, so looks great.
Thank you.
So,
You go up to note two?
I run it all.
Okay. So if you think it looks great, I haven't had a chance to run by it in a while.
So if I'd entertain a motion pending the reviews that are required from DPW and others to accept the road so it can be voted on at fall town meeting.
So it is written?
So moved. Yeah.
And so that was a first and a second.
Sure.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Wait a minute, that was off the painless, right?
That should work.
But I did make an
Hardly
file.
noticed.
It's only step one.
Don't be afraid to throw something in the coffers. Look for some signage at the football field.
Pete's gonna represent Turkey Farm tonight, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Better get some other pants on. Oh, yeah, and here comes the bride.
A chocolate, I want one.
I got a few minutes before
I
it's
feel the
7.
want.
Thank you.
It's sealed. It's sealed. Oh, you got knives? You can't bring knives in places like this. Who's got the guns?
I left it in the car.
Huh?
But I left it in the car.
You know,
That's my sister, I can recognize that voice.
we're on TV, guys.
Oh, so what are you trying to say to me? I want a candy. You shouldn't be pulling out weapons? In the old days. Jesus,
Thank you,
work.
Mary.
You know, next time you really gonna make us work for this, honey? Oh, look at this. Oh, you sure you want one? I'll show you one. That one's for sure. Do I have midnight? Oh, thank you. Jamie?
No, thank you.
Maren? Anyone else? Gotta be able to catch.
No.
No? No more fun.
We're just waiting for the clock to kick 7:30 to meet the public hearing requirements.
Read up.
It's not a hearing, it's just,
Oh, it's just an update? Great.
yeah.
You're up. Cooper Farm Estates, set a bond, lot release request.
Good evening, we haven't seen you in a bit.
We always saw you first.
Jennifer Platt here with the Fields for Cooper Farm Estates.
Excuse me, I need to recuse myself
We
from this.
miss you already? But you're leaving the chocolates, is that correct?
Except for one, you want one?
I'll get, thank you. When we're done.
In a big meeting. Diva.
So we're up here in front of you today to talk about the bond amount for the subdivision and then to seek release of the lots from the subdivision covenants. If you've been out to the property, and I know Martin was out there today, there's a lot that's been done. Just going through the list, the roadway's in, the drainage is in, the town water lines are in, infiltration basins are in, they are loamed, they are seeded, they were approved and reviewed by Concom and blessed, so we're very happy about that. We've put over $800,000 paid to our paving contractor already, so that is out the door, done and complete. The things left to do, which would be the subject of the bond, obviously top coat will go in at the end when everything's done. We have bituminous curbs to go in, the granite curbs around the radii. We have sidewalks to go in, trees in the 55 and over section of the development. We need to loam and seed the easement areas between the sidewalks and the curb. We've already loamed, but we still need to seed the common areas up by the entrance. And then the drain structures, we need to raise them up to the final grade when we're at that point. And that's still on our to-do list, and we're cranking through that. From our contractors, the quotes and firm bids we have to complete the work is $160,000. We've had some back and forth with the town. I understand Green International has recommended $404,000 for a bond amount, which well in excess of what we know we're going to have to pay to get this done. What we would suggest is we would like to set up an escrow agreement with Lowell 5. They've approved it. We already have an escrow agreement in place that's been approved by town council, and it's been approved by the Board of Health for our septic system. So that's been in place. We have a line of credit with the bank, which has more than enough funds available to secure the bond. And then as the project advances, we'll ask for you to come out and do further inspections so we can be releasing those funds.
So how does that work? You have a line of credit with the bank.
Line of credit with a bank, a certain amount of it is earmarked for the escrow agreement to guarantee completion of construction of the things that are
Tri-party
still,
bond.
the things that are still left open. So the town would have the right, just like on our escrow agreement for the septic, the town has the right to draw down those monies if we fail to complete our obligations.
Okay, does that-
What's in the original agreement on the bond? When we did this,
So the original agreement on the bond says we will agree to a bond. So we are now here to have that
so
discussion with
I know
you.
in the experience of the board that we've always preferred a cash bond in place.
And totally understand that. Looking at the statute, Chapter 41, Section 81U, it specifies the types of surety, security that we can provide to the board. You can do a cash bond, you can do a traditional form of surety bond, you can have essentially a mortgage on the property after your primary construction mortgage. You can also have a covenant like we have now with the town. And the statute actually provides that it can be a combination of those methods, that you can pick one and change it as the project goes along. But one of the things it does specify is that the method and the combination is selected by the applicant. So our choice would be, and that's under statute, would be to select a tri-party bond, tri-party agreement with the town, where the town has the right to draw down on these funds. We will have the funds in the bank in Lowell 5, available should you ever need to draw down.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
Mara, I have a question for you. The issues that we had at Wilson Lane, because we didn't have the bond amount set high enough, where we couldn't actually finish the road, and now there's, after the 52 emails that we responded back and forth with, had that been a different bond amount, we would have been able to complete it. Was that a cash bond? Was that a?
That is a cash bond that the
Okay.
treasurer holds. The last time we had this discussion, November of last year, from the finance department, Bonnie says, "We in the finance department always prefer cash and appreciate the planning board's preference for such." And from the town treasurer, he went back through records for the last 15 years, and we have never used anything other than a cash bond. So this is a very new request.
It seems like Mass General Law gives the applicant the option.
And the last time we had that discussion, I heard several board members say it must be cash bond. So this is a big change. I would recommend town council review and,
Right, so this is a discussion right now we're having, and I would say that I'm okay with having a discussion with town council. I'm not comfortable accepting it without getting an opinion from council,
Well,
so.
town council has to sign off on it anyways.
Well,
So we would vote
Let's
to
talk about this.
accept it.
What road are you referring to?
so, the history of the town is they've always accepted a cash
Yep.
bond. They've always done that. We've never accepted a tri-party bond.
But it's
So,
our choice,
But wait a second, no,
Massachusetts law.
what road is it you're,
I just want to have
because,
Littleton
I
Town
think-
Council
yep,
review your proposal for a tri-party bond,
we're not disputing the amount that we want to have bonded. We spent almost a week going back and forth with Green International with the amount of items and the cost and prevailing wage. All that plus 20%, for contingency. And we don't mind that amount, and we understand that the town doesn't want to be put in a situation where they can't
Complete it.
complete it with another contractor if something ever happened.
And I would be-
And the cost that we have associated with our contractor right now is nearly half of what would be associated with what the town engineer, the
Less than
town-
half.
What the town's had someone else, a third party, do as a bond.
And I would say, I would be happy if you wanted to approve it, subject to approval by town council of the form. And just to reiterate, town council we've already gone back and forth with them on the form of bond that we've used for the septic system. And you may know, for the septic system, we have to provide funds adequate to rebuild the whole system over a 10-year funding period. So we did have a fair amount of back and forth and some fairly thorough review by town council and Jim Gareffi to make sure that it was adequate to protect the town. And obviously, we work very closely with town council. I'm happy to work with them to finalize an agreement that is satisfactory to you.
I'm just checking an email regarding this issue, so give me one moment.
It's just, it's a difficult position to be put in, building all of this and putting that cash aside.
That's right. Yeah.
It's unbelievable. I
Cash,
mean, this is the
Any other-
largest
any
project
other
we've ever
municipal-
done.
yeah.
Project gets bonded, a third-party bond. If it has to do with the football fields or any of that, they don't have a cash bond. There's third-party bonds associated with any other municipal project.
Okay,
in
so,
any
He's
town.
absolutely right. All my projects are third-party bonds.
And we will bond the 404 plus the 20% contingency.
So we're actually getting almost twice, because 160 is what you need to complete, and 404 is what the grant
Right,
says.
because remember, the 160 didn't include some of the items, the completion items,
Okay.
the as-built plans, things like
It's
that.
very
It was-
close, Mara.
It was, yeah, not the big amounts, but,
Is
right.
it reasonable to think that 404 is much more than what it would take to, that they say it would take to finish?
It would take the town the full 404 to
That's
finish.
what Green says.
Yes.
And we're not disputing
All right,
that,
okay.
Richard.
Yeah.
We would gladly do the tri-party bond, which we have approval of through Lowell 5, to put that plus the 20% aside. It's just, you know,
So who-
the Massachusetts
I
state
think
law
the
states
404
we
is-
have the right to
Yeah,
choose this.
yeah, we do it all the time.
Including the 20%.
The,
Yeah, the 404 is including the 20%.
Okay.
who would be
I think-
the bond, who would do the bond?
Lowell 5 is doing the bond and the tri-party.
Oh, the bank is doing the bond?
Yes,
A Massachusetts bank?
yes, we have
Oh, boy.
a line of
Yeah,
credit
you
to
can't-
secure the tri-party bond.
You can't be better than that. We get bonds on our projects that are from Oshkosh, Wisconsin, from people that you never even heard of. Something local like this is just as good as cash. So I would recommend we approve the bond. What do we need to do
Jamie, any
to make
comments?
this happen?
No, I mean, you say we've only done it with cash for the past 15 years, but just because we've
Doesn't
done
matter,
it
yeah.
with cash for the past 15 years doesn't mean you can't make changes. But if the law states that it's up to the developer's
Yeah.
discretion, then, but I can see why you wanted to have a conversation with town council. I mean, that's why he's there.
Well, we can't- There's no reason why we couldn't approve this based on town council's, you know,
Review and approval,
yeah, review and approval.
and we'd be happy with that.
Good. And
So how would you?
So,
Okay.
I'll entertain a motion, but before I do, I just want to state for the record that because we're veering off a course that the town has followed for a very long time. I'm not opposed to new ideas. Like I said before, if the town council reviews and approves, I'm okay with it. We're going to get some pushback from our accounting and finance team, so.
How could you get any pushback when we're
Because-
covering the entire portion of what Green International is requesting, plus
Because
the
we're,
20%
just because we're
contingency?
veering off course of what we've always
It's
done.
just different.
Yeah,
Okay.
they shouldn't, because this is the same as cash. The only time this would ever get exercised is if there was a default. And what you want to have is you want to have a Massachusetts-based bonding company that's at least double A or better. And it's a bank.
It's a line of credit,
Massachusetts
secured
Bank.
by the line of credit.
Yeah, so.
Right, and about 25 years ago, there were probably two defaults. One was 40 years ago on Apple Dior, and one was about 25 years ago on Meadowbrook Lane. That was a tri-party agreement, and after that point, that's when the town switched to cash-only bond.
Okay, well, that-
It was significant legal costs
To get the money from
that
the third
tri-party
party.
agreement.
Right.
well, it's-
And that would be,
Even-
and that would be my concern.
There
No,
shouldn't
it's-
be, I mean, but I'll,
And I
obviously I'll
don't
let
know
town
how-
council review that, but it's a common form of security for
That was
Right.
then.
any commercial
And-
transaction.
And yeah, you're right, that
then.
was then, that is old history.
But it's still
If-
history
if
worth
the cons-
understanding.
Yeah.
I'm thinking forward a little bit, if the concern is additional town council fees or, I-
Right, there's more money, it's harder to
No.
get the money released.
No, it's actually not. In
Well-
fact, having a bonding company be in charge of the money gives us more influence over the performance of the contractor, because as soon as we think that the contractor's in trouble, we threaten to go to their bonding company with a letter. And that's the last thing they want to do, because as soon as their bonding company gets a letter, then that affects the amount that they can bond next time. So like, that's hitting them where they can't be, where
right,
it
for,
hurts the
and,
most.
right, that's very true for a bond, where it's a line of credit from a bank. We have some discussion from the town treasurer of his concern. I'm happy to go
So a line of credit as opposed to a bonding agent is different?
a tri-party.
It's a different form of security, the way the one we have already set up with the town. So even though it's breaking ground for the planning board, Board of Health has already done this a number of times for the shared septic systems that are going in place. So it has been approved by town council and by another town agency. And what the way it is set up is, we have money at Lowell 5, we have a line of credit. It will, in the agreement itself, it provides that if we fail to do, and then whatever the list of promised acts are, then the town has the right to draw down on that. So you are, actually, the town is a signatory, if you will, on that agreement. So
Okay.
it's as if you have a check writing authority on our line of credit if we fail to perform.
So then the legal cost shouldn't be that high, because my next comment was going to be, if it's hard to recoup that money because of the way we set it up, then I'd want to set a cap on the amount of legal costs to get the money.
Oh, no, there isn't. It's like.
But
there's
if we're a signature on the
Yeah.
checking account, I don't think it would be that difficult.
You're named on it.
You're a named party in
Ed
that
Mullen?
agreement with Lowell 5. So the agreement is between Lowell as the escrow agent, the Fields as the developer, and the town as the secured party.
Okay, so Richard, I would go back to the motion that you started to make, that if you want to make that motion
Gladly.
contingent on review of town council.
Yeah, I'd make a motion to accept the third-party bond,
It's a third-party agreement? or
Third-party
escrow-
agreement.
Escrow agreement?
contingent upon review and acceptance by town council.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You have your,
While I got you guys here, though.
Thank you.
While I got you here. 'Cause the next is, yeah, lot release request.
Before that, the bond amounts that we've been looking at for several subdivisions haven't included the community mailboxes that are required. It's not a large amount.
But there was an issue at
I would
McIntosh.
like
There
to-
was
I would
an
like to
issue.
go down to the
And
postmaster and
Mhm.
ask if we can have individual mailboxes. I don't like the,
We can wish him luck.
yes, we can wish them luck, and we
Good luck.
Really?
tried hard and
maybe
pushed
they-
back.
Maybe they
and-
rent space from us, I don't know.
They do.
I don't know. Maybe they want to rent some space, but
Okay.
I would, so here, that
understand.
information provided,
we still, if we can't have individual mailboxes, there
Yep.
is going to be a mailbox located at the entrance of.
And you can add that to the amount, Lauren.
Do you care if it's in there or not? Was
I-
going to be my question.
I think, I think only because we should cover, the town should cover all our assets. And we should cover our bid.
What are we talking price tag?
3,500?
Yes. $3,500.
Okay, perfect.
I personally, I think, I don't like having one mailbox at the entrance of a
A lot of
busy
us
road
don't
that
want
either mail
Yeah,
gets
but
stolen.
Mr. DeCarolis that was just here,
He had to do it.
just went through all that.
I'm
It
sorry, I
was-
missed that we were talking.
No, it was,
No,
it was previous
yeah.
meetings. All right, so we'll add 3,500 to the bond amount, and we'll get it reviewed by town council. Things be okay. Before we go to the lot releases,
Okay.
I just have some questions about the site. The athletic field
Yep,
that you guys have, the open space you've given to the town for
Yep.
open, active recreation. The septic, has it been moved? Has it come up the hill more?
no,
Nope.
no, it's still within that area, there's a little bit of breakout area going in, but
Mhm.
that's actually, would make it easier for an athletic field to have.
You bring in
either
the level.
Two-tiered, so on the higher side, on the north side, you could have one at that level, and then you could drop it down 5 feet or 7 feet and cull some material out of the side towards the road and have two fields right there,
Mhm.
offset by maybe 5 feet without having any material brought in or.
Well, you said you were going, any excess material you guys were going to leave for the town to use anyway, right?
There is enough material on that side. I actually, I had someone out bulldozing the septic with me the other day, and we looked at it. And he's like, you could have 2 fields here easy with minimal work. So.
Good to know. That was
There's
my
drainage
question.
already there that will drain from both fields to the cross culvert over into the wetlands already. So, minimum drainage as well,
Okay.
and ample parking.
I have a question about that. I've been told that they didn't want fields. They wanted to keep it agricultural.
As of.
That's
when we-
not a conversation I've had.
No, there was initially, prior to when we first had the plans drawn, it had a field put on it, they were removed. Remember we had them
Right.
removed?
Right.
So, And it was gonna be up to the town to decide what they
Right.
wanted to do
But
with that.
that's not what our agreement with the Cooper says.
Well, our agreement with the town also says that we have an athletic field and then agricultural up front.
Passive ag,
And then
recreation
in the
in the
back
back.
is passive or ag.
Right.
So that's our agreement with the town. And that's also the way the draft deed, which is in front of the town for review.
Yes. The
Would read.
minimal work, that there can be 2 fields there
Seven.
with
Okay.
parking,
And
without any import of material.
the subdivision plans do call for active recreation on
On that
that
upper
area.
field.
Right.
Yes.
That's great.
Which we're all for.
Yeah,
That's great.
okay, yeah,
But
I mean,
there is-
that's what-
there is
that was
plenty of
part
room
of the
for
crux that got us the
actually,
deal.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
with grading the breakout of the, on the high side of the septic system, it makes it so you still, you have from the 300-foot
So-
setback that we have, there's plenty of room for that.
just an update for us. So you guys are putting your septic systems in now.
Yep.
Um,
In the process.
Right. Anything lost or gained by that? Have lots had to be moved, anything like, has anything changed on site that we're not aware of?
On the septic, we're in the process of going to a drip system instead of a pressure dosing system. So we have approval for the pressure dosing. The drip system is
And
a little bit lower.
I'm not
It's a
so
little
much
bit
interested
lower
in, yeah, I'm thinking more
elevation.
about elevation, I'm thinking
It's
about,
lower, so
does it
actually-
impact any of the lots from the original plan shown?
We are down 4 lots. We can only do 21 lots instead of 25.
On the single family, and that's where we maxed out on our
We're actually down to
septic
8.
capacity.
We're down
4 on the single families and 4 on the 55 and overs, because we were told information from the Board of Health that was not as
Initially.
accurate as we would have liked to have been.
So
That-
there's more,
that
essentially
being
there's more open
said-
space now.
Those lots are indicated in our agreements with the Board of Health, as well as in our homeowners association and condo docs as reserved. So if there does become, if the regs change and there's additional capacity allowed, those could become built on in the future. So, but right now, we've indicated that 4 of the single
They are
family.
future lots.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
Understandable.
so
Could
it's
we
not-
see, could we see the plan with the highlighted lots that have been put in
I'll bring
future
one,
lots?
I'll bring one and drop it off in Lauren's office.
Okay, thank you.
I think we have it emailed, don't we?
We have a file of it
Yeah.
that we can,
And make sure it has the final
Right,
determination
right
of what
numbers.
lots are.
Okay,
yep.
just so we can keep an
reversed
accurate count of
versus-
what's,
versus not
what's
reserved.
available
It was,
today.
it was a
It
kick, it hurt.
It actually makes it more open space, and, there's not so much cluster in the over 55.
Okay,
Makes it better.
I'll have to get out there this weekend, take a look at the roads.
Drive right out.
Yeah, I
all
will.
right.
Riders down.
The road is down.
So the lot release request. This is the bond amount, this
Right,
is,
lot release request is for lots 1 through 25.
1 through 25, that is correct.
And 4 of those are future lots.
And so it does not include release of the over 55.
No.
okay.
I don't have any issue with that.
And Green's reviewed everything, we're good as far as their construction reports go.
As far as construction reports go, on the bond, there are a few items that need to get completed for this bond amount to be correct. But I always appreciate you guys' leeway on the votes, for the final review from the town and from the town's peer review engineer. I think we're good.
So we need a motion to.
I would accept the motion with the contingency of the review of the consultant and,
I'll make a motion to release the 25 lots.
25 lots.
Yeah. On the condition that, with the only condition that the town council review it. Or,
Was it a-
review it with the consultant.
oh, review with the consultant. That's
Yeah,
it.
Green International.
Does that need to be a condition?
I don't
They
think
had,
Green
they had a
International.
couple, they had a couple
Yeah, there's a
items.
couple items.
Lauren was out there today about a couple things, right?
Yeah, but I don't,
They were small items. There was we need a plan for a head wall on cross culvert
Yeah,
that's
but
been installed.
That's just
Right, it's,
ongoing stuff.
right.
I wouldn't hold,
I
hold
don't want
this
to
thing for
condition
that.
that
Yeah.
down, we're ready
Yeah,
to
no,
go.
I wouldn't ask you to hold a vote.
Yeah.
Hold off on voting.
So I'll just make a motion to release the 25 lots, as requested.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much
Okay.
for your time.
Great.
Thank you all.
Thanks for
Take
coming.
a look at it.
Good work.
Please, we'd love to,
I'd
we'd
love
love
to.
to show you around.
I will.
I have been out, and I appreciate it when you did show me.
Number 10 out there.
Thank you.
I will be
Thank
looking for
you.
him as well.
Why don't we stick?
Mr. 10, but could-
10 pointer.
that couldn't be like a reference to a deer now.
You just-
Okay. 745 Durkey Farm Estates. Again, vote to set a bond amount for Phase 2, lot release request, A&R for Spruce Street, lots 23, 24, and 25. Those are the 3 items. David,
Good evening.
how are we doing?
Get the full crew tonight.
You missed me?
Yeah, a lot.
Plague.
You ate all the
And the updated information is we have the signed third-party review for the drainage and farm pond area. The consultant has signed, town council reviewed as a form, my signature is next, and we'll be finally under contract.
It's funded.
Yes, it is funded.
We released the files.
Okay,
Sidewalk on Wednesday.
I saw that.
We will walk quietly until asked question.
And I appreciate that.
So, Mr. Chair, for the record, Brian Goodrow, Hancock Associates. What Sherry was passing around was a letter that we issued today. It touches base on a number of items that Green International had indicated as ongoing construction issues, and in addition to comments with respect to the bond. So to kind of stay on point for the agenda, the 3 topics were for setting bond on Phase 2, a reduction on Phase 1, a lot release request, as well as endorsement of an A&R plan. So to run through the letter, we went through a discovery process on Open Space E and developed calculations for a roadway cross culvert. We're not looking for action on that this evening. It's been submitted and it'll go out and be reviewed by the third party. Green had indicated if there were any issues with respect to septic systems and standing water that's out there. We haven't found any evidence of groundwater change. As such, we're not expecting to have to adjust any of our approved septic designs.
Can I elaborate on that? So 5, 6, and 7, we put those systems in. There was some concern that maybe because of 4, there was a concern that the Board of Health agent had on 4, when the system was in, and because of the standing water in the ponds, and that system was approved by the Board of Health itself. And then they suggested that the agent wanted further testing for 5, 6, and 7. We used the bed bottom inspection as that test, opened the bed bottom up. They came out and reconfirmed the groundwater elevation through modeling and visual inspection.
The Board of Health agent?
Board of Health agent,
Okay.
yeah. And they were comfortable on all 3 systems, so.
Red bottom is way above.
Yeah, there's no change in the groundwater,
Okay.
was my point. So just wanted to kind of let you know that that did happen
Thank you.
relative to those 3 lots, which were 3 lots of concern, I think, to everybody here, as well as the agent, but they proved to be exactly what we had submitted.
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you.
And that is a standard check. Anytime that we go out to install a septic system, the agent will come out and inspect bed bottoms, and at that point in time, if there's evidence of anything, adjustments will be made accordingly.
Yeah.
To pivot to the next item, their comment was with respect to guardrail and sidewalk at the wetland crossing. What we have proposed and offered is a TL1 crash test rating by Recon Block. So if you look at the blocks that are out there right now, it's essentially just a reconstruction of the top of the wall, and that becomes the guardrail.
The test loading calculations have been in here and are anticipated to be reviewed by the independent party. It's important to note that all the horizontal and vertical geometry of the roads in the subdivision are for 25 miles per hour. So that is what a TL1 crash test rating is rated for. Infiltration basin number 3 was commented that stormwater is not infiltrating. Obviously, there's standing water in that basin. We have an approved reconstruction plan. It was passed through Green, passed through DPW, and everyone signed off on that. So we're just pending actually reconstructing that basin.
I could touch base on that. We were within days, I think, of being dry enough to get in there. As of at the end of last week, we filled up again. We're going to de-water tomorrow and let it dry out again. You know, if it doesn't get to the point where, you know, we're just trying to prevent really a mucky mess with the machine. But if it need be, that's the approach we'll have to take, because we just haven't had the 2 or 3 weeks of hot, dry weather that we're hoping for.
Well, at least we didn't have 18 inches of rain.
Yeah, amen, right? Yeah.
The next comment was, I believe Tom with Green International saw an area within the tree line. It's not a part of this phase, it's a part of phase 3. As you go down Spruce Street into the cul-de-sac area, there are 2 wetlands, and then there's a small upland area between the two, and he just expressed a concern that potentially there should be some sort of culvert there. We've looked at topography, we've kind of looked at that area holistically. The 2 wetlands are not hydrologically connected right now. They actually flow in 2 different directions. So we don't feel that culvert is warranted in that area.
I can elaborate on that as well. So we paved to about station 950 on Spruce. This is a station 11 to 1150. There's a crossing there, wetland crossing there with a bridge. Because of the Farmer's Pond and all its, all we've been through there, it was natural to say, should there be a pipe connecting these 2 wetlands so that we don't have standing water being blocked on one side or the other. It happens to be the high point, as Brian mentioned, natural farmer's crossing at the time. But if you look at the topography, as you're driving up, the right-hand side flows to Grimes, the left-hand side flows around the site and down and under our culvert on Balsam and out down Grimes, down by the train track. So they are topographically independent of each other. So because I pressed Brian as well to look to see if we're going to put a culvert in, put it in now. And we are more than comfortable that it isn't required, and also it may alter the direction of the flow and alter the wetlands if we do connect the 2 of them, because they are currently not connected. So it's impossible for us to block the flow between the wetlands because they don't flow now. So that's what he's elaborating on. Green had mentioned it, I had mentioned it, we all sort of looked at it, but the engineering is the engineering on it.
Is it new information that they flow in different directions?
No, it's always been that way. Yeah, these guys have always known it. We've always known it, but it's worthy of asking before we go build a bridge. If we're going to end up needing a culvert someday, we'd have to take the bridge apart to do it. So I was the one that asked and said, should we just put the culvert in? But it would alter the wetlands, which we're not allowed to do because they flow in separate directions.
Excellent, excellent.
So those were the punch list items exclusive of basically the bonding. So there were a couple comments on the bond. The bond worksheets are attached at the back of your packages. And there were 3 major comments. One, there's manhole frames and covers that haven't been installed, and those have been added. The sidewalk binder, there's a section that hasn't been installed during the last round of paving, and that has been added as well. And there was a comment regarding a common mailbox, and based on my review of subdivision regs and the decision, I don't see a requirement why we would have to bond that. I think there is still discussion with the postmaster regarding if it's going to be required or not, so we would ask that it not be bonded. So the 2 bond worksheets that are in your package are a reduction for phase 1 down to the work remaining and establishment of a phase 2. So the phase 1 goes down to $222,327.20, and Phase 2 is going to be established at $156,432.28.
What was the original bond amount that we're reducing down to 22.2?
That is a good question.
I think it's 400 or 404.
Yeah, it was hovering around 400,000.
Yeah,
It's over 4.
seems to be the number, huh?
Yeah.
404.
We built 2,300 feet of road, field built 2,200 feet of road, so that's where you get to about the 4.
Yeah. The,
Well, I would say that, reading the construction reports again, that things look good out there. I drove through there. It was nice to see that on Spruce, the curve is in right away. Avoid that again, huh?
Absolutely, lesson learned.
So,
what do we need to do to approve this, Mary?
Green got all of this information just this afternoon. They said they should be able to have a review early next week, so just asking you be contingent on final review from Green and from the DPW.
Okay.
can we get rid of the pennies? Can we round up?
Yeah.
Well, yes, we'd also like to discuss that tri-party bond agreement.
So it's going to be, so the tri-party bond agreement, I'd say same thing, that we just had a conversation with Cooper.
It's fine, we're
Review.
comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we assume town council's well aware of Mass General Law. Just as a point of reference, for 25 years, for the first 18 years, I cash bonded everything that I did, because that's what towns preferred. And then the law came out and people contested it, and now all towns, except for Littleton to date, are taking tri-party because that's the law. Once it was contested, people now understand it. Your town council will be more than familiar with it. They've tried to defend it multiple times for municipalities, and they've lost. So there'd be more than understanding of 81U, which says you can establish it one of the 4 ways, and the applicant can modify it occasionally from time to time. So I brought the law with me. You're certainly welcome to have it. My attorney, Jim Hall, sent a letter to the chair and the board for your review. You may not have had it yet. It came in today. But once you see the law, it's crystal clear. Town council will agree to your condition that town council reviews it. It's tri-party between us, Lowell 5, and the town.
Level 5 again.
And it requires, multiple sign-offs for anything to occur, especially if we were to keep it or try to keep it. That can't happen, because then they pick up the liability of it. They're assuring you that they have the money and will surrender it if we default. That's essentially what you're assuring.
That's better than the bond.
I still look at, a cash bond, as far as I'm concerned, is better than any bank is gonna. If I put $100 here, and you put $100 in your pocket, what's easier for me to get at?
It's not negotiable, right?
Well,
Yeah, the cash.
Yeah.
But the reality is the
I
law.
don't have to ask you to
No,
take my money.
I
You
agree.
didn't-
The law unfortunately allows the 4 alternatives.
Yeah. And Peter,
No, you don't have to say anything else. Honestly, that's as simplistic as I can put it.
All right, so getting back, we're going to go through the same route we just negotiated with Cooper, so it'll be reviewed by town council. So if we can go to the release amount, we're at $222,327.20. Round it up, give them 28.
400,000.
Give them $28.
Right, pending review from Green
Right.
and DPW.
Right, so I'm going to talk it through, and then somebody can make the motion. And then for the bond amount, $156,433.
round one down,
Now,
one up.
You can round those both to thousands as far as we're concerned. And if you want to round them both up to thousands, it's fine.
all right, so 223,000 release, you'll get it there, and then we'll get it on the other end at 157. So,
It's fine.
close enough. You guys are gaining $100 on us. That being said, the other thing that we did with Cooper is we did get a bond amount for the mailboxes.
Oh, we don't.
So it's twofold. One, we don't have an agreement with our buyers that we supply mailboxes. This is really between them and the postmaster. So the other question is, if the postmaster says to put it in X direction, are you okay with that without site plan review?
No, we want site plan review.
So if you want site plan review, it ultimately isn't up to the postmaster at that point, which he claims it is. So we're going to be stuck in a crossroad where you don't agree where he wants it, and I'm going to have a bond amount that I can't get at.
Well, he's the federal government, so I'm gonna say that as long as the postmaster says it's this where it has to go, what's our
No,
choice?
because we have a lot of choice on that, because they can put it in a place that could be not ADA compliant, it could be not AAB compliant, It could not, it could obstruct.
CBD?
No, no.
It could obstruct fire access,
This is-
there could be all kinds
The
of
only,
things.
the only way you could have those kinds of requirements is if it was a commercial setting. These are homes. These are individual houses.
So you wouldn't care if he said we gotta put it in the middle of a farm pond?
You know, I don't
I'd be
think
good
we
with
should get
that.
involved with.
Let them
I don't
deliver
think
it
we
to
should
it.
get involved with mailboxes. We got much bigger things to do.
If I had my preference, there would be a mailbox at every driveway.
Agreed.
That's where it is in every other town. And I discussed this with him. I said, you're gonna have people that
All right,
are,
we'll leave it up to you, you fight with them. How's
that's
that?
fine. That's what I'm asking for, is let me
Let
fight
him
with
fight with
them. Because I believe it's between the buyer, the homeowner, and the postmaster. That's who I believe it's between,
Yeah.
not me.
Yeah. Not a-
Well, you're the guy who's putting the house where there used to be a field.
But if you lose, if
You're
you,
responsible for
We
it.
if you lose the fight,
we-
and
we
he
don't
tells
wanna
you you
get
gotta put it
involved
in a
with that.
certain location, tell him that he's gotta come to us for site plan review before we place it there.
Yeah, that's why I don't wanna bond it, because you guys may end up never agreeing.
Site plan review for a post office
Yeah.
once? For a mailbox?
You should have seen the selectman's office, all the calls that they were getting from McIntosh Lane
It was
with
a-
that change.
I was
It's
getting
been-
emails too, it
yeah.
was crazy.
It's crazy.
It's been crazy, it really has.
So we should have
I don't
some
get
say.
those.
Well, let me elaborate, not to be presumptuous, but we have K in front of you as well. You potentially have 54 mailboxes in there, in
No,
one location.
that's a building.
Yeah,
It's
at the
a
end of
house.
Foster. I mean, it's obnoxious. It really is. So, that's why we haven't agreed.
That's why I would want site plan review, because it's basically gonna be a building that's housing 54 mailboxes.
Look, let's cross that bridge when we get there. It sounds like-
That's what we just said.
I agree.
It sounds like we're not even close enough to even start talking about it.
All right, so we discussed it.
It's a good way for neighbors to meet.
So, can I make a motion to,
So it's happy
Where
hour.
are you gonna put the washer, dryer, stuff like that, so we can,
The back deck, of course.
all right, Eddie, with your,
I'm entertaining a motion.
all right,
Go
good.
for it.
Can I entertain a motion to approve a third-party bond for $222,000?
Release, bond release.
Release. yeah.
Reduction.
Okay.
Reduction from current bond down to
Down
222.
to 222. For worksheet phase one,
223,000.
222,000.
I think we went to 223, I apologize. We rounded off.
223.
We rounded off.
In exchange for the cash bond.
In exchange for the cash bond.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sure.
Page 2, we're gonna,
Do we have a second?
well, it's
we're gonna do them both the
Gonna do
same.
them both
Page
the
two
same.
will go to 200 and,
All right. and
157.
In addition to that, phase two for 156,000?
157.
57,000, okay.
Tri-party,
It's a new one.
Third-party agreement
tri-party agreement, okay? To be reviewed.
to be reviewed by
By
town council.
May I ask one thing here? Where we're currently established in cash at 400,000, can you take that aggregate amount of that reduction which you just approved and the new establishment of 156 and allow our lots to be released so we can proceed while the town council reviews the tri-party agreement?
Yeah.
Because
What-
we're essentially bonded now.
What lots are we looking to release? 23, 4, and 25?
So we haven't finished
Oh,
the
those are,
vote yet on this.
well, he's making stipulatory actions on it.
I'd like it to be part of the condition.
we can make a motion on that separately.
Okay, thank you. I wasn't aware of protocol, so I apologize.
Reducing the bond, reduce both bonds, pending in.
No, we
review
just-
by
that we-
Town council.
We-
Reduce the bond on phase one, establish the bond on phase
Phase two.
two. Both of those bonds can be tri-party agreements.
Mhm.
Okay. That's exactly what I said.
Okay, pending
Cash bond
review.
release, cash release when they're in place.
In lieu of
Cash
tri-party.
release when they're in place.
And the three-party bond and stuff.
Now, does
there-
that,
is
does
there-
that get it done?
That gets that done. So we got a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great.
We done
Now,
with that?
yep, now we're going, jeez, please,
When there's three-party,
tri-party.
Oh, you opening
or
that?
three-party, depending on which words you want to
It's
use.
all written.
Cut a couple of letters down, so
You opening
Is
that,
it-
that box again?
is it possible that there's a town number 2 in the signing and they're number 3? Is there
Essentially,
a pecking order?
Hierarchy.
it's essentially.
I like pecking
It's
order.
equal.
Their default
Yeah.
of any sort triggers you to move up in that
to that second position.
Standard procedure for you calling in a cash bond, any cash, you can't show up and take my cash bond today. You would have to find me in default, I would have to agree to that, or the court would say I am in default, at which point it's released to you. Those are the terms of the bond don't change from a cash bond to a tri-party. The terms are all the same. The mechanism for taking it is all the same, it's just a matter of where the money is stored.
That's right.
So be it. Thank you.
Thank you.
We do it all the time in construction, all the time.
Don't care. Got it
And-
answered.
And we have much lower value bonds than these.
Can we move to the next agenda item, which is a request for lot releases on Olson and, I'm sorry, I misplaced my,
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I can enumerate that. So it's lot 15 and lot 22 through 30. So it's the entirety of Spruce that has been paved to date. Now, as a part of the letter, we did modify our original request to not include lot 22. Lot 22 is on the right-hand side at the end of the pavement. It's where a temporary sedimentation basin is right now, and we can't put a house there until the drainage has been constructed at the end, further down Spruce Street. So from what was originally requested, we're now requesting 15 and 23 through 30. It's also important to note that in Green's letter or email correspondence from, I believe, the 1st, they had offered their opinion that lot 15 should not be released because Spruce was not paved past the driveway on lot 15. We feel that that is not the case, and we've paved far enough down Spruce Street to encompass that curb cut.
It was like 15 and what else, 22 to?
15 and 23
So
through
9 total
30.
lots?
23 to 30.
Okay.
23 through 30, yes.
That's it. That's 9 too.
Okay. If the chair is ready, I'll make a motion.
hold on, let's have, I want to open up the discussion first. Peter, do you have any thoughts on that? They're not asking for a release on 22, correct?
Correct.
All right. Which is 15 and 23 through 29.
If it's,
You have any-
15 is next to that wetland on the top, right?
so the lots that we're requesting is 15 right here.
Okay,
This is 22, which we're
Okay.
no longer requesting. These 4 lots,
okay,
which is 23 through 26, and these 4 lots, which is 27 through 30.
okay.
Where your upper middle finger is that's the lake, right?
No,
The-
the pond.
The
pond is dry.
Open space E, where the standing water was,
Yes.
is
Yes,
generally in
that's
that
where it
area
is.
to the
And
north.
that's got a house on it already, correct?
Lot 7 has a house on it already, so it would be the lot behind the existing house next to the field. So this is
Isn't that the one
constructed-
you said you're gonna build a big trench in between the two of them and run it down?
No, it's over there.
That's
Yeah.
11.
Okay,
All right.
I don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
All right, I make a motion to release lots 15 and 23 through 30.
Inclusive?
Yes, please.
Inclusive.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Take a vote. All those in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Does that do it?
No, the only component would be that while town council is reviewing the tri-party agreement, that you recognize my 400,000 is covering both bonds, the new reduced amount and the new established amount, so that these releases are effective immediately.
If somebody wants to amend the,
So you're already bonding them presently with the money that we have in hand, and then release the ones that we don't have against the ones that you want to have, and then we can do that later on after we have it?
Exactly.
who's on first?
I'm good with that.
Okay.
So just amend it.
Right, and if you just give me that direction, I can
All right.
work with that.
All right, so that's, I just made that motion based on those words that I heard. Those-
All those in
Oh,
favor?
please, we have
Can I
to
get a
say that.
second?
We'll be listening to
Second.
that tape going, what the hell did he say?
So can somebody make a motion to say that he's already got the bond amount covered in cash? So can we release the lots immediately, not pending the review of the tri-party agreement?
Correct. I would like to make that motion.
Can I get a second?
I'll Second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for that.
As long as we get what we talked about earlier.
Exactly.
We get what you got, but you gave it to us already, and we don't have to give it back.
You can have
So,
it back.
we're gonna keep it until the three-party persons come into the effect, and then we're gonna give back what you gave to us already.
So, point of note, to Richard's point regarding bonds and construction bonds and all that, and I will say that the bond amounts are a lot higher in subdivisions, because unlike municipal projects have a finite end. Subdivisions run for a long period of time, and you run into escalation, and that's what really is jacked up from our cost to complete to the escalation number, which I think is fair to the town. And I don't mean to cross you on that, but I think that is the delta, and that's why the numbers are higher on our end, and we understand that. That's where you get hurt typically, is you don't tend to pull a road bond for 10 years, and the amount that was set
Right.
would have been too low. The escalation now covers that through the ENR factor.
We're going to vote.
Yeah, and when we do construction, there's certain divisions we bond.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
Site guys one. All the files.
Part 3
We're
of
done.
the hearing, A&R.
Oh, yes, sorry.
A&R.
Yes. Sorry, thank you.
You can go now. So the developer submitted an A&R application to revise the lot lines, Lot 3 on Spruce Street. See attached plan per 5252.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, so it's 23, 24, and 25.
Okay.
Are the three lots, and we're just adjusting interior lot lines on those three lots.
We modified this area here, we took a little piece of buffer back here that was cleared to the, we originally had a set our buffer line well above the stone wall line, which is, the tree line is behind the stone wall line. We set our septic up so that we could put the septic out back, grade down to the stone wall line, which is previously disturbed, and in doing that, we gave conservation a bigger piece over here, which was more protective, wooded, and undisturbed, allowed for a grade of that wildlife corridor in there.
So not conservation, but open space.
Yes, we increased that.
Okay.
And in doing so, it kicked the lot line like that, so now all we're doing is correcting the other two so that they're unparalleled with each other.
No reduction in lot size?
No.
Okay.
No, and no adjustment to the front lot line corner.
But a reduction in lot size, but no, still falls within a requirement.
yeah,
of the-
correct.
Correct,
Yes.
correct. So
Yeah.
23 got a little bit bigger, 24 and 25 got a little bit smaller.
And the shape changed, so.
23A.
23 now.
But we just approved 23 through 30 to go the other way already. Didn't we?
We released the lots, now they're just going to move the lot lines.
And this is what they want now, after we just signed away, giving away 23, now they want to change stuff?
So it's your turn to make the motion, Pete.
My turn? I make a motion to accept the moving of the lines from the front to the back, only in reducing the amount of backs, lots at the front, making the wildlife access corridor larger.
No, there wasn't an
Approving the
adjustment
A&R
to
as
the
presented?
wildlife access corridor.
He
We-
just said he's making that wider there.
Through the easement process.
So is that what he said, or is that not what you said? You said you're making that access corridor larger.
Yeah, but not through a lot line. So that's
So
maybe where I was
the
confused.
easement's larger, not the
Yeah, the
lot
easement
line.
becomes larger.
So now I gotta change my wording?
I think the wording would be A&Rs as presented,
Maren just said that.
and that was not an attempt to be fresh.
Maren said the same thing.
I'm not making a motion, you make the motion.
That's the last time
I'll make a motion to
I was,
approve the lot line adjustments,
The A&R as
the
presented.
A&R as presented. There we go.
Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair.
More?
If you may, we would like to just very briefly discuss K. It's been a couple of months since we've been able to do that. And the brief discussion that, if you allow it, what I would like it to revolve around is direction going forward. We still have a preliminary application before you. The last time that we discussed K, we were going to set up a site walk. So I'd like to gauge interest if the board would like to do that. We haven't engaged the peer reviewer yet, If the board would like to see an RFP put out to select an independent peer reviewer or to utilize Green, if we could get some direction on that. There was also discussion regarding testing on yield plans and the amount of plans that would have to be generated, whether it's every lot or not
So
every
before,
lot.
okay, just because we're already way behind schedule, my answer would be yes, I'd be interested in doing a site walk. I'll poll the board if others would be interested to site walk on K.
That'll be done before the second week of October.
We'll leave you to coordinate that with Myron.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would be looking for the end of October to
Okay.
do that. Just a lot going on, so. All right,
And with respect to peer review, is this something that we could work in parallel with setting up that sidewalk so that
sure, if
next
they want, yeah,
meeting-
we
Yeah.
coordinate with Myron and we could ask Green to participate.
You know, Green is their local, so, and they've been very reliable so to date, so if you guys don't mind.
Through the chair. So, now that being said, yes. Okay.
Great. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, folks.
Okay. Well, thank you, guys. Good luck in the project.
Thank you. If you haven't heard of us, we're out Foster. Come see us.
Thanks.
Have a good night, folks. Thank you. Okay. Next on the agenda, senior and affordable housing bylaw amendments for fall 2017 special town meeting. Senior residential development zoning bylaw, inclusionary housing zoning bylaw, establish Littleton Affordable Housing Trust, and vote to add these to the special town meeting warrant. We're lucky to have Judy with us again tonight.
How are you?
We're terrific. While she's getting ready, we should all sign that A&R. Okay.
Yeah, I figured you probably didn't want me sitting next to a Mylar and getting smudges all over it.
Oh, since you've been gone, I've been in troubles.
Oh, this is for this.
What's that show where the guy rides a horse and he's got the mask on?
Very nice, man.
I borrowed from town of Maynard. A lot of their words.
Zorro, yeah,
Yeah,
that's.
quite a few towns have something that they use.
Helps people understand. Process.
How was your drive?
Oh, it was fine until I got to my first destination, and then I got to my second destination and thought,
You gonna go
it
sign
looks
that?
like it's gonna rain, but I didn't really think it would,
Right,
so I
yeah.
went in to get food and came out and
Proceeded to get drenched, so
Of course.
it's been a great night so far.
It's Easter then.
Like a tiger and tiger.
See what he says. Oh, I like that.
How hard is it raining out there?
It was not what I wanted to be in.
That's great, because I'm pretty sure I left the top down on my jeans.
You're gonna change anything?
I've done
now?
that before. I left my moonroof open once. It was like a bathtub in there.
Want me to open the door and water comes out?
Yeah.
Seat, wet for days.
Taking my grandchildren out for lunch and came out in pouring rain and the moonroof was open. And I thought, I'm a fail grandparent, that is for sure.
Every time you turn, a friend of mine had a Datsun B210 and he had
Yeah.
a Volkswagen Squareback one.
Yeah.
They were Boy Scouts, which was kind of crazy that he did this. But they're driving along and they're up in the White Mountains someplace and they're gonna cross this little brook and they get in the middle of the brook. One of them looks down and he opens up the door and the other one opens the other door and the brook runs.
No. Oh, my God. Wow.
Will this qualify as fishing?
Well, what's the verdict, Ann?
It's soaked. That's all right, I got neoprene seats in there, so.
Had you left it open?
Of course.
Oh, gee.
That's all right, it needed to be washed inside and out anyway.
Beats the car wash.
Okay, we're waiting on Richard. In the meantime, it's nice to have you here.
Nice to see you all. So can we start by clarifying what's the date of the public hearing? Because I need to make sure I have dates in my calendar that I'm actually going to be here.
Yep, and the board had the meeting schedule discussion earlier and would like to stick with October 5th, if that still works for you.
That's the first
First
right? Yeah,
Thursday.
yeah, that's in my calendar. I
That's what
just,
we've had, there was some discussion of moving it, and
Oh.
it works out for most members of the board to be here.
yeah, no, I definitely can be here that night. I was just afraid if it was going to move. I thought
No,
October is a mess right now, so, just town meeting season. So, okay. So, I think you probably know, for the last meeting, I made a few more edits to the senior housing bylaw, and I think I've probably gone as far as I can with that, in terms of just addressing the comments that we've heard. The copy in the back of the room that has yellow highlighting on it kind of indicates what those changes are. Do you want me to go through those briefly, or are you all clear with what I did?
I think for the interest of the public, we should.
Okay. I changed the use list to provide for cottage dwellings, not single-family dwellings. And the reason I did that, cottage is a detached dwelling unit, just like a single-family house. But it allowed me to create a class of use that I could then put a floor area limit on. And so I was trying to control the size of the unit, because people have been asking questions about, how do we know we're not going to get a bunch of families in these developments? How do we know, how do you sort of control the cost? Well, one of the ways you control cost is to control the size of the unit. So I said, what we allow is what we were always allowing all along, except we've replaced single-family dwelling with the concept of a cottage, which is a detached unit that's subject to a limitation of 1,800 square feet. There is a cap now on the number of bedrooms in any unit in a development under this bylaw to 2 bedrooms. So I think,
That's a
again...
state thing?
No, there's no state, this is our definitions.
These are your definitions. I'm trying to address comments that have come up, so that actually is not at all, that's not out of line, that's pretty standard. I don't really know that there's a whole lot more. I just tried to make it clear in the universal design standards that when you have a bedroom and a bathroom and a kitchen and everything all on one floor, that the bathroom has to be en suite, which means connected directly to the master bedroom. I mean, all of these are design elements that tend to really drive the market for these units to an aging population. So some of these tweaks in the design standards are really around making it clear this is for a senior population. And I also wrote more stringent special permit granting criteria or standards for the board's review. I got the sense that people were a little concerned that the way I had drafted this before was a bit too loose. So there are specific findings that the board will have to make in order to grant a special permit under this bylaw. Those findings are in yellow highlights on the 5th page. They're not draconian. They're really nothing that anyone would have a problem meeting, but it certainly will make them think about how they design the project and what they're going to submit to you for an application. What I would like to offer is, if this is approved at town meeting, I think I should probably do one more thing for you before we're done, and that is just write a set of administrative regulations and an application package to go with this bylaw, because I can write the submission requirements to make sure you get what you need in order to be able to make a decision. So, you probably have great application packages now, but I'm just saying, I think it wouldn't take me long to do that, and I
That
think
would be
that's
great.
you.
That would be huge, because then we could see that, and we would know
Yeah.
that they've met the criteria, they're attempting to meet the criteria.
I still am not, in this draft, requiring all the units to be subject to a deed restriction. The board can, if you choose, impose one. To the concerns that have come up about people ending up with an apartment development in their backyard, I think I need to point out that, first of all, the definition of an assisted living residence requires the residents to be certified by the Mass Department of Elder Affairs. That's in the definition. So it has to be certified under Chapter 19D. So the state's going to require it no matter what you say. As for the independent living units, I don't really want to say that you should require a deed restriction because I think the design standards are going to do it for you. If the board feels compelled in a particular case to require a deed restriction, there's nothing in this bylaw that prevents you from requiring that as a condition of approval. You have the ability to impose conditions, safeguards, and limitations that you deem necessary to mitigate the impact on the surrounding area, and so on. So that's going to be up to you, and I think you want to handle it on a case-by-case basis. I have added...
Is that advantageous? I mean, can we ask as we go? Do you mind through
No,
the chair?
no, please. Any questions, please direct them to the chair.
You know, I mean, when you say a case-by-case basis, if we, a deed restriction is going to allow us to say who, what, when, where, and how.
Deed restriction would say all the units have to be age-restricted for people over 55.
Okay.
That's the deed restriction I'm talking about, is an age restriction.
But we
So-
can do other deed restrictions if a proposal comes before.
Yeah,
us.
I'm not even touching that. I'm just saying, if you, in a particular case, think you want to impose an age restriction, that's up to you. But I think you want to be a bit careful, because what's happening in this industry is that developers who are building this housing are looking for the flexibility to have a product that can be nimble enough to be sort of semi-independent units, but also function in an assisted living type of way. They're bringing services in instead of doing them actually part of the project. And it's because this market is aging, and people are, have different needs at different points in life, in their aging cycle. I know, because I'm getting there.
But then there will be a decline in that population at
That's
some point.
that's right.
And we
And that's
don't
what
want to
the deed
limit it.
restriction could kick us in the ass.
That's why I didn't write it that way. That's right. So the other thing I want to point out is, Mark or someone had mentioned at the last meeting that people were concerned about having a big apartment development in their backyard. So one of the things I've said in this revised draft is that, you've got a 50-foot setback, which I think is pretty standard, but if it is a property that's next to an existing single-family dwelling, along that lot line that's common with a single-family dwelling, the setback has to be at least 100 feet. So I've given a buffer in here from a single-family neighbor that was not in the previous draft. So I think we've kind of done here what we
Right.
can.
Right, no, I think that's definitely reasonable. I also think that,
If there was a case, Barbara, that, through the chair, there was a
Please.
case that 100 foot was going to be too much, and it was appropriate to be less than 100 feet, could we change that? Or give relief on that?
it would have to go to the ZBA, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I haven't written it that way. I think that if there's next to a single-family dwelling, you need to give neighbors some assurance that they're
Right.
not going to have a big apartment development in their backyard, because that was never the intent of this
And
anyway.
100
And if
feet
it
isn't
did,
really
but
that
Richard, I
much.
do like your thought.
100 feet isn't that much.
But I think that should then go to the ZBA, that will follow all our guidelines, and then if they're looking for
Another
relief.
step, though. Yeah.
I
Right.
understand, but
But you
in
want to
that
encourage
situation, you'd
people.
want to have them take that
Sorry.
step. That's okay. In my opinion, Richard, I think that they should have to take that next step if they're looking for relief on a setback that we're going to require.
I'd almost, I'd like to, I don't want to pawn everything back over to the Board of Appeals or anything, but, and again, 100 feet isn't that much.
Oh, it isn't.
It's only, 60 feet from first base to home, or from the pitcher's,
Yeah.
It's 90.
That's not a lot, that's not a lot.
But you're also making a statement,
Yeah.
you want people to look for properties where the use is appropriate. So there's nothing, that's what zoning should do, right, is to say, this is the kind of property we want you to look at, and we don't want you to look over
1,000 feet,
here.
There's only so many places available for that. But,
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I don't know, I guess 100 is okay. I'd rather say.
It's only for
buck and
the-
a half or two. but-
It's only for assisted living and independent living, it's not
Okay.
for the other, it's not for the smaller units, there's no real use conflict. It's the bigger developments that I think people
100
are
Thank
is
you.
only if there's a residence there, if it's a business or something.
Yeah, if we do in the industrial zone, we have relief. So,
Thank you.
Right. So, those are the changes that were made in the senior residential development bylaw.
Barbara, did you say that
Wait.
cottage dwelling is a
Judy.
unique?
Judy.
Judy, what am I thinking of?
I don't know.
I said that twice, too.
It's all right. What was your question?
The
call
cottage
it
dwelling,
for
is that a standard statement? Like,
It's a zoning term.
it is? Okay, so it's an established.
From a building code point of view, it's going to be a single-family dwelling.
Right, yeah. But that's a term.
It's a term, it's defined.
Okay.
I gave you a definition.
Just asking.
All right. Any more comments or questions from the board?
What do you like about this?
It's flexible. I think it's going to get you development that you said you wanted. I think that it gives you a variety of housing types possibility, and I think it goes beyond helping people who want to downsize and gives them some hope that they can stay in Littleton when downsizing isn't enough anymore.
What do you dislike?
How long it's taken to get to this point?
Great answer. And can I, if I could add to that, and I also think it gives the board, the planning board, enough control.
Oh, yeah.
We haven't given up control over what's going to be there, so.
I think it gives the town more, I mean, it gives, because, you know, your word, just your wording, I think it gives the town more control over what's going to happen, not just the planning board, because we're just the mouthpiece of the town, but hopefully giving them what they're after, not to,
No? Huh?
I
the other
mean,
ones are going to.
you asked me to try to get you something that would be more effective.
I think you've achieved it.
I hope so.
All right, so the,
While we're on this, any comments from the audience?
Pamela Campbell, Director of Elder and Human Services. I'd like to say that I really like the changes that have been made. To just speak to one, that 100-foot setback, I think that sends a statement to people who have concerns that we, first of all, we were listening, but that also that we're addressing them.
Yeah.
It's not enough just to listen and go on and do something else.
Right.
But I'm very pleased with everything that I see in this. And coming from the standpoint of thinking of elders and the kind of housing that they would like to have, I see the beginnings of it here and enough so that we've got a chance to get something that would really appeal to elders without having to say that it has to be over 55. You know, if mortgages are 30 years.
Right.
We're talking about increasing senior population till 2030, but then it starts to tail off, so we're inside the 30 years.
Mhm.
And money makes it happen, so it's very important.
Thank you.
These new mortgages
Anyone
are
else?
15.
Okay. That's one of the 3 agenda items regarding,
Well, the third one, fortunately, you don't really have to worry about much. The Affordable Housing Trust is really in the selectmen and town administrators' hands, right? Or what are we doing with it here?
It's still
It's the
part of the
package.
package.
Yeah.
right, we're going to put it all as one package to vote it, put it on the warrant.
Well, and I think that's important, and frankly, the handout I was envisioning for town meeting on this, and the presentation, everything, for the public hearing, everything is about, sort of why this package. Because it is a package. I mean,
Right.
that was the way we conceived this, and I think people need to hear that. Do you want to go to the inclusionary bylaw then?
Please.
Okay. So this is a little different from what you have now. Right now, your affordable housing requirement applies only to senior housing. And so this applies to any development that is 6 or more dwelling units. And so you actually have a shot here at getting more affordability than you're getting now, including but not limited to in senior developments. Let me explain how this works. I tried to keep this simple. Peter, if you were going to ask me when this is over what I don't like about this, I probably would have made it more sophisticated, but I think the more sophisticated you make inclusionary zoning, the harder it is to administer. So I'm trying to be sensitive to the fact that this is a small town. Essentially what this says is if you are doing, if you're increasing the number of units on a property by 6 or more, then you are subject to this bylaw. You have to provide some affordable housing benefit. However, if you're between 6 and 19 units, you have the option to pay what's called a fee in lieu. You can either provide the units on site, or you can pay a fee in lieu. And the reason I did this is that my experience, push back if you disagree, is that the smaller developers who do little subdivisions, they can't deal with the bureaucracy of affordable housing. It's just overwhelming, I think, for people. When you get into projects of 20 or more units, you're dealing with a different type of developer, and I think they're a little more comfortable with dealing with some of the bureaucracy. So this says if you're between 6 and 19 units, you can either put the units in your development, or you can pay a fee in lieu to the town. I'll explain how that gets calculated in a minute. Once you hit 20 units, you're providing the units in your project. So, you know, it might be a senior housing development, it might be in a non-age restricted development. The bylaw gives the planning board the ability to grant a density bonus by special permit. So you can consider that. If someone is willing to give you more than the number of units they're required to give you, you can give them a pretty generous density bonus. And I made it generous intentionally because I want it to work. The fee in lieu is a mechanism that helps developers comply without necessarily having to build the unit. There's great controversy in the planning world about how to calculate these fees. I tried to write this very simply because these can get so complicated. What this says is the fee in lieu, if you're going to do a unit, if you're going to pay money to the town per affordable unit instead of building them, the fee is going to be twice the HUD income limit for a household of 4. And the reason I said it's a very easy thing, those are published numbers, there's no debate. You just go to the HUD income schedule, you find the family of 4 for the area that you're located in, you multiply it by 2, the developer writes out a check. That money becomes available to the town to assist in the creation of additional affordable housing.
Hence, so if we wanted to
Which-
develop our own housing,
Exactly.
We'd be
Or
fine.
participate in another proposed development. I mean, you know, you may want to, say someone comes in who's doing 30 units, so they have to provide units in their development. Well, if you want to create a couple of more affordable units than what they have to propose, you could buy down with that trust. You could create your own unit, you can buy land. I know there's concern here about trying to find land for senior housing. Well, the trust fund becomes a really critical mechanism for having the money to buy land for affordable housing. So that's kind of what the trust fund is for, and of course, that's the third piece, which is creating the affordable housing trust. But this is saying, if you're going to do residential development in the town of Littleton, and you're going to create more than 6 units, you have an obligation to provide some kind of affordable housing benefit. At the very least, it's a fee in lieu. If you get to a larger project, it's going to be units in the development. If you are willing to do something more, then you can ask the planning board for a density bonus, and you have the authority to grant it. It's that simple. And again, I think I would,
Great.
you know, if this goes through, I'll do the application package and the regs for you, because it would just make it, if you want me to, because it's just
Please.
much easier.
No request.
If you just have a package, you can hand to people and say, here you go, this is your supplement to your special,
So,
you know, subdivision application or whatever.
That work would hinge upon this passing town.
Yeah, I mean, if it passes, if it doesn't pass, you don't need the application, but I just think.
I don't want to pay for something we're not going to get, be able to
I'm not
use.
charging you
You
for
didn't
it.
think-
No, you can write it, you
It's
can
not in my
charge us for
scope.
it.
No,
You
it's
should
not in
be
my
able to.
scope. It's not in my scope. I'm offering to do it.
she's
Really?
offering this.
Jeez,
The
we
town
go to dinner?
would show its gratitude by
Chair?
Yeah, it's
thanking
fine.
you.
It won't
so.
take me
Gotta
that
think
long,
possible.
and I think I will feel better if I know you have a way to administer this.
It's a generous
I
and
hate it when,
offer.
you know, well, you know what I mean. It's like.
It's a
Is
generous
there-
offer, thank you.
Okay, that's fine. So the third piece is the housing trust, which really is not your issue, except it is because it's kind of the administrative vehicle for what happens when you get a check from a developer. Housing trust is based on a state law that was passed in 2004 that allows towns to, by their own choice or not, create affordable housing trust. The trust is comprised of volunteers who are appointed by as this is drafted by the selectmen. There are certain people who kind of are on it as a matter of form, town administrator or town administrator's designee. But it's a group that basically has charge of the money. So they are, you know, they'll be in a position to invest that money as they see fit. They could assist Habitat for Humanity, they can assist the Housing Authority, they can buy down units from a developer, they can buy down existing units. If there's housing in town that sort of is older stuff that might get torn down or, you know, might need some help, they could buy down those units when they become available for sale, put a deed restriction on them, and sell them as affordable housing. So there's a variety of things a housing trust can do, whether it's unit production or unit preservation. But they're like they're really your lenders. And the fee in lieu is seed money for the trust fund. You know, the other thing the trust fund can do, and this is totally a policy issue for the town, I'm not going to go there except to point out that the Community Preservation Committee also can propose at town meeting to transfer their housing allocation to the trust fund. The trust can manage it. It still is CPA money. I mean, it doesn't lose its identity or its requirements. But sometimes CPCs really want a housing trust to just sort of take this issue and run with it, because they
They can
trust
put it
builds
into the
capacity about, you know, affordable housing.
Nice. Then you have somebody like a board just managing the money.
Right.
That's the point, and a lot of CPCs have done
And the
that.
board is comprised, how do they create the board? I think that's important to explain.
Let's see, let me say this. One shall be a member of the Board of Selectmen, one shall be the town administrator or his designee, one shall be a member of the Littleton Housing Committee, Council on Aging, and three who would bring to the trust relevant experience in real estate, housing, architecture, social services, and so forth. So they're selectmen appointed, but some of those seats are defined in the bylaw, and others are kind of at large, and it's up to the selectmen. Their 2-year terms can be staggered at the beginning, so, you know, you don't lose all of them at once. Vacancies filled by the selectmen the way they usually fill vacancies now. So it's pretty simple. When they're appointed, there are some things they need to do by law. They need to file a declaration of trust and so forth. There's plenty of technical assistance on this. You won't be creating a body that is left to flounder. But this is your local bank. This is your community development finance institution that is going to make it possible to sort of create affordability or deeper affordability than the inclusionary zoning.
Boy, that's a very, very wonderful statement. That-
I think,
For this town, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's a great package. I mean,
right. I do too. I think the three components that we are
I hope so.
discussing
I mean,
tonight
it's not
are
just
very
me.
important.
I just think it's a great idea. I hope it works out for you.
Well, I think all three components together are what makes this work.
Yeah.
It's important that we present it that way at town meeting. I hope that we get a lot of support. I'm asking everybody for their support on these three items, and I would entertain a motion to put this on the warrant for the special fall town meeting.
So moved.
Which is, as I understand it, the 30th, right? We've got that date straight.
Yeah.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's okay. I've got a motion and a
I
second.
second that.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, terrific.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, thank
We
you.
have a comment from the audience.
Pamela Campbell again, Director of Elder and Human Services. I really like this last piece. I do believe that this is the way for us to really move forward into the future. I was recently in Carlisle
Yeah.
and saw Benfield Farms,
beautiful.
which was a beautiful development.
Yep.
It took them almost 10 years to make it happen.
Yep.
But part of what really attracted me to it, it was an $11 million investment.
Yep.
But the town only had to put about $1 million in. $1 million from one end looks like a lot of money, but when you start having something like this where you can accumulate the money and not have to go to the town and talk about things like overrides or debt exclusions to carry a project like that, you just move things so much more quickly forward. I'm really, really pleased, and I do agree with you completely, Ed. These three hang together, and they really accomplish a lot.
That
We're gonna do
project,
everything we can to support you in getting it.
that project in Carlisle was beautiful. And you know what else it exemplifies? When you have a trust and you have money, you can do a more deeply subsidized project than a typical developer does. Developer whose project is subject to inclusionary zoning, they would typically do 10%, because you're not giving them a ton of density to do more. But you're getting units that are affordable at kind of a moderate income level. When you have money and you have land, you get deep affordability. And that's exactly what they did. Those are tax credit units in Carlisle. It's an absolutely beautiful development.
The whole development counts as affordable.
Yeah, the whole thing counts.
Every unit.
But it's more deeply subsidized than you get from a traditional inclusionary bylaw. So you almost can't fail.
Right.
When you say subsidized,
Because you've got money in the deal.
Our money.
right?
And you got more control, because not only do you have a deed restriction, you got a mortgage. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's really good stuff to have a housing trust.
The town is the,
The trust,
It's the owner. of
holds
the
the mortgage,
property.
that's right.
When I got elected to this position, and the first year I was on the board, I felt like we saw a lot of subdivisions come before us. I think we approved a lot of A&Rs, and we rubber stamped a lot of subdivisions. I'm excited about the planning that we're doing now.
Yeah.
And this is really what I got elected for. It wasn't to, rubber stamp subdivisions. It was to plan zoning for our town, for our future, for our seniors, and for all involved. So, thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm hoping to get the support of all the chairs of all the boards for this, so.
And remember, when you're planning for the seniors, you're gonna become seniors yourselves, so you're planning for yourselves.
Yep, I
Some of us
agree.
already are.
I totally agree.
Some won't admit it.
Well, wait a minute.
See, there's one.
Do you need anything else from me then? I mean, aside from preparing for town meeting.
I think that you and I need to talk with Maren and make a schedule to do the PSA.
Yeah, we do, yeah.
Pamela as well, right? So we're going to try to get a group together to do a PSA on LCTV.
Okay.
And then from there, I'd like to actually do the presentation a few times before town meeting
Sure.
together.
You'd
So
like to be prepared?
I would like to be very prepared for this one.
Have you guys, I mean, this may not be the time to do it, but have you talked about next Friday afternoon, or is that not working for some people?
Next Friday does not work for me,
Okay,
so.
Okay.
But any other day of the week works.
Okay.
After 5.
okay. Let me see what I
I'm
can-
sorry, Friday does work. Thursday doesn't work next week, that's all,
Right.
my mistake.
Okay, and I'm not available after 3:30 on
Right.
Friday, but I'm not an integral part of the taping, so.
You'll just put us in touch with all people we need to be in touch with here.
So you're not
Okay.
going to be in the tape?
That's fine with me.
Okay, so who's going to do it?
Pamela's familiar with the process, so.
Yeah.
so.
So it's the three of us then? I mean, how are we doing this? You, Pamela, I mean, somebody from the planning board needs to be involved.
Yeah, it'll be me.
Okay, all right.
If any other members want to participate, I mean, I don't want to,
oh, you don't want to run the show?
I do want to run the show.
Yeah, we
That's
got
why
that
I'm the
in there.
chair.
We'll leave it to our captain.
So we'll talk offline about how to make that work. It's just I'm going to be here anyway because
Right.
there's a meeting.
Okay.
So like, we could do it Friday afternoon. It's just, I'm trying to limit how much
Right.
running around I'm doing during the day if I possibly
Uh-huh.
can.
I just don't get out of work until 4:30, so.
So we need to do it later in the day? Is that what you're saying? More like 4:30?
I can try to be here I could probably slide a little early on Friday. I'll have to get,
Tell Marcia it's for the common good. That's fine. Okay,
so.
all
All
right.
right,
I'll be in touch then about that. Anything else for tonight then?
that's it, thank you
All
very
set?
much.
Thank you.
You've been
Thank
great.
you.
I can't thank you enough. I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you all.